Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Tom Spark. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be checking out some alternatives to your common cell phone. Now, you might be using some kind of Android phone or an iPhone, but there are a lot of interesting new phones kind of out now and coming out that present kind of like an alternative kind of phone. A lot of these phones are like more sustainable, more updatable long term, more open source, and more surveillance free compared to your common phone developed by Apple or Samsung or Google. Now, of course, all these big phone manufacturers and popular operating systems do have convenience features and they're easy to use. But if you're someone who cares about privacy and maybe security as well, then some of these phones could be an interesting option for you to check out. So today I'm going to be talking about some of the top 3 open source, surveillance free, sustainably built smartphones out there right now that you can buy. So the first one I'm going to be talking about is the Fairphone 3. It's around 450 euros. And this phone is very interesting. I actually kind of like the way the back looks. It has kind of like this transparent, almost Game Boy like kind of feel to it. And it even kind of looks a lot like the iPhone 4, which a lot of people really like that kind of design. It looks very similar. So the Fairphone 3 is designed to last 5 years. It has Android operating system installed. It has completely removable and replaceable components, and it got a score of 10 out of 10 by iFixit. All the materials are fair trade as well, and the people who make these aren't using child labor. The phone allows for the installation of Fairphone Open and Lineage OS, as well as alternative systems like Ubuntu Touch and Sailfish OS. The phone is pretty pricey, compared to some other options out there. It's not like a low-end budget phone. It has pretty decent specs, medium to high. It's got a 12 megapixel camera, 64 gigabytes of storage, Qualcomm Snapdragon 632, and you can look at more of the specs right here. It does have a 30,000 milliamp battery, so that's a pretty decent sized battery, 5.6 inch full HD 18:9 aspect ratio, and a really cool dark translucent color for design. It also has a headphone jack, USB Type-C, and a fingerprint scanner. So overall, I think the specs are quite good, definitely comparable and usable in today's kind of world. It's got a decent camera and stuff like that. Next up, we could talk about the Libram 5. Now, Libram 5 is another open hardware and open software, privacy and security oriented phone. It's equipped with physical buttons. You can go in and turn off various things like the camera, microphone, Wi-Fi, and GPS. So that's pretty cool in terms of security. It's like toggleable. The phone itself looks kind of plain, but kind of similar to like the Nexus devices, I think. Installed, it comes with the Pure OS, new Linux operating system that receives lifetime updates. And it's developed by the same company that develops this smartphone, which is called Purism. You can also install other operating systems like Ubuntu Touch, Postmarket OS, and similar to the Fairphone, this one comes with pretty good specs as well. 5.7 screen, 720 x 1440, 33 gigabytes of RAM for memory, 32 gigabytes of storage. Didn't have quite as much as the Fairphone, but it does have one cool thing about it is that it does have a 3,500 milliamp hour battery. It does come with an 8 megapixel front camera, 13 megapixel back camera. Does have a headphone jack as well, which is nice to see. So this one, the cost is definitely higher. You do get some like extra customization with those hardware kill switches and the designed hardware that lets you control, which settings are turned off and on via hardware, which is really cool for privacy and security. It's a little pricey. You do get that big battery, and the specs are kind of comparable to the Fairphone, but it's still a cool option. Now, lastly, we have the Pinephone, which is kind of getting pretty popular. This is another kind of minimalistically designed phone that looks pretty plain, but the big thing here is that the Pinephone is only $150. Now, of course, for that price range, you're gonna skimp a little bit on the specs. It's not gonna have as powerful speed in terms of the CPU and GPU and stuff like that. The camera is also much worse than the other two options at only 5 megapixels for the main camera, 2 megapixels for the selfie camera. It does have a headphone jack and stuff like that, as well as USB Type-C. The battery, of course, is going to be 2,750 to 3,000 milliamp hour battery. So it is removable. That is cool, but it's not going to be as big as the other options. It also has physical buttons. It's just like the Libram 5 to turn off camera, microphone, Wi-Fi, and GPS, which is really cool. It doesn't have any pre-installed operating system, but you can install Ubuntu Touch, Postmarket OS, Selfish OS, and Plasma Mobile, which is nice. It's manufactured by a company called Pine64, which is one of the most kind of well-known alternatives to the Raspberry Pi. So as a collection here, it has lower level hardware, a smaller battery, but a very good price and objectively probably comparable security and privacy. So if you're looking for a phone that can just be kind of like your security and privacy phone, this could be a definitely good option because of that good price point. However, one thing about the Pinephone is that it is out of stock as of now, where that doesn't seem to be a case with the Fairphone. It looks like you could buy that perhaps more easier. The Libram 5 is still on pre-order. So if you want one now, you might have to go with something like the Fairphone, which will be able to install the custom operating systems, even though it does come flashed with Android upon arrival. Honestly, I think out of all of them, I think the Fairphone is probably the one that I'm most interested in. The benefits of this one are you get a better screen. It's going to be a sharper screen. You get 4 gigabytes of RAM instead of 3 or 2 gigabytes of RAM. It's made of sustainable materials. It's got a decent price. It has a much faster CPU, which is about 50% faster than the Pine and Libram phones. It's got a modular design, which is neat too, and a stable OS as well. A lot of people argue that the mobile phone Linux betas are a little bit buggy and are beta software, whereas this one is, more fully fleshed out. Not only that, but you get 5 years of support for Fairphone. And of course, you could put something like Lineage OS on it as well, which is pretty good by now. So guys, let me know what you think down in the comments down below. Are you going to get any of these? Are you interested in these? Or are you content with the phone you have? I would be interested in hearing your thoughts, and I'll see you again on the next video very soon.